What if I told you? A single photograph could hold more history, more heartbreak, and more truth than any book ever written? A photograph that survived wars, disasters, and the passage of time. Yet its story is rarely told. The moment it was found, it didn't just capture a memory. It changed lives. And the story you're about to hear will make you see photographs and the moments they freeze in an entirely new light. Long before cameras existed, families relied on memory and portraits painted by hand. Imagine a world where the only way to see your ancestors' faces was through brushstrokes or faded sketches in dusty albums. A child born in the 1800s might never know the exact face of their grandparents. People treasured miniatures, daguerreotypes, and sketches, but each was expensive, fragile, and rare. Memories blurred. Faces faded. Stories got lost in translation. And then, photography arrived. Suddenly, reality could be captured in a moment. Faces frozen. Expressions preserved. Stories written in light. But it was strange at first. Some thought it unnatural. Some feared it. People sat stiffly for portraits, fearing the camera might steal their soul. Others laughed, posed awkwardly, or tried to imitate paintings. It was a new language of history, one click at a time. The first permanent photograph was taken in 1826 by Joseph Nicephore Niepce. It required hours of exposure and a lot of patience. Later, Louis Daguerre improved the process, making images sharper and easier to produce. People were fascinated. They lined up to see themselves captured in glass plates. A photograph was more than an image, it was proof that time could be held still. Families would gather to see their first portraits, children staring wide-eyed at a frozen version of themselves. And yet, despite all the technical marvel, the photograph remained mysterious. Each photo had the power to tell a story, sometimes more than anyone expected. The earliest photographs sparked curiosity, wonder, and sometimes fear. Some villagers thought people would vanish after their photo was taken. Others giggled at the serious expressions, unaware that early cameras required stillness for minutes at a time. Newspapers printed portraits of explorers, kings, and inventors, and the public marveled at the faces of those they would never meet. And beyond amusement, some photographs began to capture moments that were deeply emotional: funerals, soldiers leaving for war, children playing in the streets. People realized these images could carry memories far beyond their own lifetimes. Photography evolved. From daguerreotypes to tintypes, from black and white prints to color images, from film cameras to digital sensors. Every generation left its mark on the medium. The photograph we are telling you about survived decades. It was taken in a small European village in 1914, an ordinary family smiling in front of their home, unaware of the war that would soon tear the world apart. It passed through hands of children and grandchildren. Through floods, fires, and relocations. Some scratched the edges. Some tried to restore it. And sometimes, the photograph carried heartbreak. A famous example, in 2015, a photograph of a young boy lying lifeless on a Middle Eastern beach went viral. It captured the tragedy of migration and war in a single frame. Millions mourned and reflected on the fragility of life, all through the power of one image. Another photograph, a grandmother in 1940s New York, clutching her child's first school photo, separated from family during wartime evacuation. Decades later, her grandchildren would find the same photograph in an old trunk, tears streaming as they held the fragile paper in their hands. These images are more than paper and ink. They are vessels of memory, grief, and love. Some photographs do more than record, they alter history. The lunch atop a skyscraper image of workers dangling from a New York steel beam in 1932 became a symbol of courage and resilience. The Tank Man in Tiananmen Square, 1989, froze the world in disbelief. The raising of the flag on Iwo Jima, the Dust Bowl migrants, countless family portraits, they all captured humanity in ways words could not. Our photograph survived silently. It passed unnoticed in antique shops, tucked into dusty albums. Until one day, a young grandson, cleaning the attic of his late grandfather's home, discovered it. He didn't know the faces, the stories, but holding it in his hands, he felt the weight of generations. The smiles in the photograph seemed alive. The eyes seemed to follow him. A quiet whisper of memory crossed time. Today, photography is everywhere. Smartphones allow anyone to capture moments instantly. Social media shares them across the globe in seconds. Moments that would have vanished decades ago are preserved forever. But even in the digital age, the emotional power of a photograph remains. Consider viral moments like the Alan Kurdi photograph or the iconic Afghan Girl by Steve McCurry. These images moved the world, igniting compassion, outrage, and reflection. And ordinary people still hold the same fascination: a family reunion photo, a newborn's first smile, an anniversary snapshot. These images anchor memories in ways nothing else can. From a fragile 19th century daguerreotype to a high-resolution smartphone image, photography continues to be humanity's mirror. Photography is not just art or memory, it is evidence. It has helped solve crimes, expose corruption, and even capture life on other planets. The first photograph of Earth from the Moon, taken during Apollo 8 in 1968, reminded humanity of our fragility and unity. More recently, images from Mars rovers showed landscapes no human had walked, unlocking scientific discoveries. Photos have helped police solve cold cases, preserved historical moments, and recorded natural disasters for future generations. Each photograph is a witness, sometimes silent, sometimes revolutionary, but always impactful. Imagine holding a photograph that could change a courtroom decision. Or a photo that could alert the world to climate change, conflict, or human rights violations. The medium is more than nostalgia, it is power, proof, and permanence. The photograph, once just an image, had become a time machine. It carried laughter and tears, innocence and grief. It reminded families of lives lived, of love lost, and moments shared. Imagine the photograph of Alan Kurdi, the young boy who washed ashore on a beach, an image that moved the world to tears, forcing humanity to confront the plight of refugees. Or the haunting portrait of the Afghan girl, her piercing green eyes staring across decades, telling the story of displacement, fear, and resilience. There's the flag raising at Iwo Jima, symbolizing courage amidst unimaginable chaos, and countless family portraits from war-torn homes, each frame a frozen heartbeat of hope and sorrow. Even a simple photograph of a grandmother clutching her child's first school picture can carry the weight of separation, love, and memory. Every photograph tells a story. Some are joyful, like a wedding captured in mid-laughter. Some are heartbreaking, like a child left behind in a distant land. Some are haunting, like a missing loved one immortalized in a frame. But each one is a witness, silent, enduring, and unforgettable. They remind us that life is fleeting, yet moments can be eternal. That grief and joy can coexist within a single frame. That a photograph is more than light and shadow, it is humanity itself preserved. So, what would you do? Would you hold it close, tracing the faces and stories, letting history speak to you? Or would you leave it in the attic, letting its memories fade into silence? Every object has a story. Every photograph carries the weight of generations. If you want to uncover more true stories of objects that shaped history, subscribe now. Comment below the object you'd like us to explore next. Because the story never truly ends.